West, you've heard others, but now you've tuned into the best. This is a Prime Wave Media production.
What's up, world? It's the one and only Pop DBICD Primetime Capper, and it is time for the premier sports betting show, the Primetime Angles. And I'm feeling good. I'm feeling great. And man, it is Thursday, the 4th of January of the new year, 2024. And you know what time it is. You know I'm starting early today because you know we got our in-house guest as usual, a guy who's been with us since the very absolute beginning of the Primetime Angles show, even going off of the show before that, are always famous on SoundCloud, old Capcast that was, you know, the pioneer of a lot of his sports betting stuff. So you know what? It's none other than the Don of Cape Cod himself. He is with us, and man, I always love when I got my brother with me. So it is what it is, and it is time for us to break it on down because this is a college basketball type day today. We got a lot of great games going on this weekend, but you know we got to talk about the CFP after what happened Monday, man. Incredible day of college football on Monday, especially when it came down to the Final Four as well, too. And we got ourselves a classic matchup between the old Pac-10 and the old Big Ten. These is OGs. This is not nobody who just joined the conference. These are the teams that molded both of these conferences, and they will be actual conference foes come next year. So this is absolutely incredible for the Big Ten that they are sending a absolute statement to the rest of the college football nation that they may be the strongest conference coming into the next decade. Jeff, what are your thoughts on that?
I didn't know if you wanted me to stop popping and locking, like breaking, doing a little, turbo and ozone, or if we were talking about Capcast. Happy New Year. Glad to be here, of course, 2024. I was going back on my old tapes in August, Sports Map Radio, and of course, my show. And when I shocked the world, Washington, Pac-12 champs, Washington shocking the world, making it to the Final Four, Penix, Heisman Trophy. And the funny thing about Monday was social media and everyone saying, who's this Penix kid? Wow, this kid is good. And, oh, my God, the announcer, man, that Penix guy's dropping dimes. And let me tell you something. He was dropping dimes, and he was amazing. And I'm having flashbacks of Mac Jones with Jerry Jeudy on one side, another NFL Sunday guy, and he gets back and he gets into the NFL and he's looking and there's no one to throw to. Penix, maybe the number 3 pick in front of Marvin Harrison Jr., as they're talking about. Monday was awesome. We got a classic coming in. Team Khaki, Jim Harbaugh, may be ready to drop the mic, head on over to your world and the Chargers, which we'll be talking about in March and April and all that good stuff. Glad to be here. Long sermon there, but I'm excited.
I'm going to keep it real with you, though, before we even start, though. Why are we treating Jim Harbaugh like he Bill Belichick, though? Seriously. Guy has won nothing but that last Rose Bowl. Let's keep it real, Jeff. He went to one Super Bowl. We're treating the guy like literally like he came into the NFL and won 4 titles. He did not do that. His greatest success to me has been building up Michigan to be who they are today. And there's no reason to come run back to the NFL, because what the NFL is going to do is chew you up and spit you out once again, especially if you come over here to LA trying to be with the Chargers, because the expectations are going to be much, much higher than they were when you went to San Francisco. And San Francisco is supposed to be like a blue blood type team because they got all their titles and everything like that. But in the LA market, you already know how it goes. It's just like the New York market. They like to see winning. And they like to see winning right away. They're not going to give him 3 years to build up the Chargers. That's not going to happen. So he might as well just stay right in Ann Arbor and go ahead and just be Nick Saban, because the NFL really don't need him at the end of the day. What value is he bringing? What, he's just nobody got it better than us? That whole little saying is played out to me, bro. Because at the end of the day, you got one Rose Bowl and one NFC championship. Let's stop talking to you like you just won a dozen national titles and you won a dozen Super Bowls, because you didn't do that.
No, but and don't forget, he lost 9 straight to Ohio State. But realistically,
almost got fired by Michigan in the process when he had a losing season. Didn't he have 2 of them?
Well, here's the problem: is the fact, truth be known, Michigan is not a football powerhouse. They're not a Alabama. They're not even a Texas. Power 5, meaning he's done an amazing job there, and he could pull a Saban and some of these other coaches. Just sit there, get us the 10, 11 wins, and we'll be happy. Beat Ohio State every other year. We'll be happy. If we don't get to the Final Four, well, now there's 12 teams. We'll get to the Rose Bowl, however that works. But the problem is, it's almost like Pete Carroll revisited. The real bombshells are about to hit. So in other words, Michigan can say, hey, we'll pay you 11, 12 million a year. You're going to stick with Michigan. We'll give you a 5-year deal. And when the sanctions hit, and whether you're suspended for a full year or we lose scholarships, we're going to take this together. You are a big part of the reason why we're here and why these sanctions are coming. And the easy way out is LA, Justin Herbert, a ready-made team to compete. It's going to be interesting. The real power move, and I don't think anyone could pull it off, is an NFL team that needs a head coach that is picking early in the draft that needs a quarterback. Go get the Washington head coach who has his record's like 111-4 in his last 120 games. It's so stupid how many losses versus wins this guy has. And then draft Penix. So you got the coach that has been coaching the quarterback for the last couple of years. That's the real power move.
Right. Well, let's jump into this CFP final. Let's talk the game. I know, all the politics aside, all that stuff, that's not what we signed up for. We signed up to break down the game so the people can get their best bet off in the game. And you know what, Mike Penix Jr., let's all go ahead. If you guys don't know the history of Mike Penix Jr. was a freshman starter at Indiana University. They were a ranked top 25 team when he was there. They actually had some real motion going when Michael Penix was there, and then he tore his ACL. And then then what happened? The coach left, blah, 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 blah. And then he heads over to Washington, because he had to sit out a full year because of an injury and things of that nature. And when he came back from the injury, he wound up going to Washington because Indiana wasn't what they were. So Mike Penix being the star that he is today, I don't know how people forgot who he was, because he was so good in the Big Ten already. And then now you bring him to Washington. He has these 2 Sunday receivers. They got a great system going on. They got great tight ends. They got a great offensive line. They got a so-so defense going on over there. They kind of took advantage of a soft schedule in a sense in the Pac-12 this year, but they got the wins that they needed to get, and that was against Oregon. That was against USC. That was against UCLA, and they won these games convincingly. They won these games the correct way. They won these games as a full team. And this is what makes them very dangerous for Michigan, because Michigan is used to a lot of teams being 3 yards in a cloud of dust, teams not being as aggressive with Michigan because they don't feel like they can push it down the field, things of that nature. In this game, to me, Jeff, they are going to really test Michigan's secondary, okay, because they can really fight them up front. That's the whole thing about it. Washington does have the offensive lineman that can put these great pass rushers in check if they play the game of their life, because at the end of the day, the main strength for Michigan's team is that pass rush and that toughness on the defensive end. And I'm going to say this, I cannot really stand Michigan in a sense, but I'm always fair. If I had to draft a quarterback today out of this whole group that they're talking about, bring me J.J. McCarthy, because he reminds me of your boy. Tom Brady, in a sense, because he knows how to manage games and he wins with IQ, not flash. And the focus that he has for his team and the way that he sets this thing up for Michigan to win these games is absolutely what you want in your starting quarterback in the NFL. The flash, the pass, all that good stuff that everybody loves to see, the flick of the wrist, all that. Hey, that's cool and all. But what do you need to do and what does it take to actually win a game in the NFL? Not just be on the Sports Center highlight reel. So when it comes down to this game, I really do like Washington at the end of the day. And that's not just because Penix, it's because the way that they go about their business. But I know it's going to be a tough task because this Michigan team is very, 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 very good. And they have their eyes on the prize. But I can see the choke happening, Jeff. And it's going to be a close game. That's what it's going to be at the end of the day. It's going to be a very close game. And I feel like we're going to go to overtime in this one as well, too. What are your thoughts and who are you taking in this game?
You know, unfortunately, on Monday, we lose our Alabama plus 2,000 that we released on October 14th. We did have before kickoff of the Final Four, Michigan plus 200. So we're sitting there right now. They're -5, maybe -190 on the money line. So we're sitting with a plus 200 ticket. The Washington team total is 24.5. Everyone will bet the under there. Might throw a little something on the over 24.5 at plus money. A couple keys on Monday. Jalen Milroe from Alabama was sacked 6 times, 5 in the first half. I really think Michigan will be able to dominate both sides of the lines. Now, with that said, I know Penix can get the ball off quick. And as I said in the Texas game, I will say it again here. If Michigan does not put pressure on Penix, it's a wrap. Game over. I think they'll be able to put pressure on him, number one. Number two, the first half of the Michigan-Bama game, Michigan leaning on him. It looked like it was going to be a rout. Hats off to Saban second half. They dominated the second half. Only 1 sack on Milroe. There was no play keep away. And I think what's going to be the real problem here for Washington is A, if they get behind, B, if they're constantly putting pressure on Penix and they get 5 sacks in the first half, and C, I think you're going to see a steady dose of Blake Corum. Sark had an awful game plan. His OC was horrific, especially in that fourth quarter. They had 3 plays inside the 5, the second to last drive, and on that last drive, 4 plays from the 12, horrific. I don't think Harbaugh will panic. I don't think J.J. McCarthy will panic. Blake Corum reminds me almost of an Austin Eckler type. That cut that he made against Alabama, I think they're going to wear down. I think it'll be a good first half. I think Michigan leans on them in the second half. I think Michigan wins this. I think they cover this. If I had to pick a score, I think Michigan in that 30-31. Maybe Washington gets to about 20 pops.
Well, to me in this game, I think that they're going to have to stretch the field just a little bit, Michigan. You know what I mean? They just can't rely on the 3 yards in the cloud of dust all day. You know what I mean? They're going to have to figure out ways to have some good play action, some good deception, all that good stuff. They can't come in there with the basic game plan and think that, okay, our strength is going to outstrength these guys. And Washington's defense is going to have to play the game of their life. That's all I'm going to say. They're going to have to say, you know what? That's great. We got Mike Penix. That's great. We got 4 stud receivers over here. We got a great tight end, great offensive line. But you know what? It's about us today. We got to be the star of the game. That's what the defense has to tell itself before walking onto that field. And you know what? That's how TCU got murdered last year because their defense didn't have that mentality. Your defense has to have that mentality at the end of the day. I remember, I'm going to just use this point, and then we're going to move on to some college basketball. Ohio State, Miami. Ohio State had a great offense coming into the game, but that defense told themselves the only way that we're going to win today is that we have to be the star because this might be one of the greatest offenses in college football history. And it did wind up kind of being like that with everybody who got drafted in that group with Miami. And what happened that day was that defense said, we're going to have to be great. And that's exactly what they did. And that's what the mentality has to be with Washington as well, too. You can't come in here and, oh, yeah, we got the offense. No, your defense has to say, you know what? It's on us. It's on us. We're going to have to take care of our business. And that's exactly what they did most of the second half, but they were kicking too many field goals. If they would have scored touchdowns, it would have been, oh, my goodness, it would have been a 3.5 to Washington coming in Monday. You know that, Jeff, if they weren't kicking field goals. But one thing I am going to say, though, too, as I finish my point, much props to Texas, man. I think Texas probably has the most NFL players out of all four of these teams because those guys look tremendous. Those receivers that they had, their running backs, Quinn Ewers is a gem, but they had a lot of distraction. They have to – that I really hate the fact that Texas – so about a backup quarterback because of what his last name is. That's great. They got Arch Manning and all that good stuff, but he wasn't the starting quarterback, dude. He was the backup for a reason. He wasn't better than Quinn Ewers. Who cares who his uncle and his daddy and his grandpa is? You media people have to get out of that mentality of always entitling these legacy players in a sense. You know what I mean? Marvin Harrison Jr. got the same type of attention as well, too. And I kind of feel like the kid got forced into going into the NFL in a sense. He's already rich. What the fuck? What does he need to go to the NFL for immediately for? If he wants to stay in college, that's his choice at the end of the day. You know what I mean? But that's just me.
They were showing the press conference too before the game, and Archie had about 50 people in front of his mic in his desk, and there's viewers with no one next to him talking to him. Washington has the athletes, they have the quarterback. Obviously, they got 3 stud wide receivers. I haven't heard a report. My assumption is the running back will be out. That injury didn't look too good and promising when he left the field there. It will be about keep away. It will be about game control. Michigan got punched in the mouth early against Alabama. They came back. They lost the special teams in that game. Obviously, they missed 2 field goals. I think the special teams cost them about 8 points. Michigan can play keep away against Washington. I don't think Michigan's coming into this game saying first 1 to 30 wins this one. If they can slow down Penix, if they can get them in a couple 3 and outs, and again control the clock, and Blake being Blake and JJ not making mistakes, this is just the adversity card here. Harbaugh, 3-game suspension to start the season, 3-game suspension to end the season. Gentleman destruction of Iowa, beat a real good Alabama team. Not a great one, a real good one. And now Washington's in their way from the perfect season. So, again, I wouldn't be shocked if Washington won. I just think Michigan has handled adversity all year, and Washington, no one's believed in them. No one's still, I think it's a pros versus Joes. I think the early sharp money was in on Michigan. I think as this game progresses, you'll see more and more money on Washington. Be interesting to see what the number is on kickoff pops.
All right, so let's go ahead, man. And you know what? Let's get to our bread and butter, man. We and you have always been about college basketball. It's always been like this. And you guys got to understand, Pop DiBiase, the primetime capper, became who he is today because of college basketball. They used to call – they said they still call me the CBB guru, the hoops guru, because I willingly put out bets lists for you guys on a daily basis. And Jeff remembers my big Saturdays. I used to do it by time zone, like time. It'd be at 9 a.m. games, we got you. 10 a.m. games, we got you. Noon games, we got you. And I used to break up everything in the 4s, everything like that. Parlays, I really used to take care of y'all. Now I do the bets list all the time. And you guys, if you guys already know, you guys can check the page right now. All 12 conferences that are playing today, they are all up. Every single one of them. ASUN, AAC, Big West, West Coast Conference, all of them are up right now, okay? Northeast, whatever you need, okay? So we got our CBB games of the week, though, because we got a lot of good top 25 games coming up on Friday and Saturday as well, too. And I really do want to make sure that we are always talking college basketball when me and Jeff are doing primetime angles or whatever, if I'm on a Jeff show or something of that nature, because this is what we do. Was the bread and butter really that brought in a lot of clientele and great March Madness. Jeff has had some historic March Madnesses and things like that. I've had some big days on with March Madness with big dogs that nobody saw coming, all that good stuff. Even, pretty much it's been a great ride with college basketball. And I do look forward to being in Vegas for March Madness this year as well, too, at least for a weekend, at least for the one weekend of the situation, because y'all kind of burn it out in Vegas a little bit. I'm going to keep it real with y'all. With these little tourists and stuff that come in and say they're betting games, but they're really just occupying seats in a book. So, yeah, okay, you bet you one game. All right, but we got a big one here, Jeff. Big Ten game of the week. Number 9, Illinois is 11-2. Purdue 13-1. They're headed, and Purdue right now is playing really good basketball at this point. They did recover well from their only loss this season. Now they're sitting up in here trying to just keep going with the flow. They got the reigning National Player of the Year, one of the biggest men to ever play college basketball in Eatoney. And pretty much they're on a roll. Matt Painter is looking focused on getting to that Final Four this year. They really have this mentality that it's a national title or bust, and that's good because now they're kind of reminding us of what Virginia was as well, too, because Virginia came out bulletproof. They said, you know what? We got embarrassed. UMBC was not supposed to even be on the court with us, and they wound up beating them. And now Purdue's in the same situation because Fairleigh Dickinson should have never even got past the first 6 minutes with them. And they literally went it. Dude, Fairleigh Dickinson wasn't even supposed to be in the tournament because Mary Mack won the Northeast. That's the craziest thing about that. So pretty much what happens here with Purdue is that they are in a very show-and-prove game. It's a Friday night showcase game. It's going to be on Fox. It's going to be a big time game. And Illinois got upset on the mind. Illinois has been playing some good basketball this season. They've been able to get some good wins this season, and they find themselves in the top 10. But I still think that it's going to be a really tough game for them because they're at Purdue. But anything can happen in this game. Jeff, what are your thoughts on this one, and who do you have winning this game?
Illinois was starting to remind me of those glory years. What was it, Pops? Late 90s, the Orange Crush when they had, and I'm drawing blanks. They had 2 NBA guards there, and then they had another run. What's that?
You thinking about the Brian Cook years and things like that? Guys like because they weren't late 90s if you're thinking about D. Brown and Deron Williams and all those guys. And I remember Brian Cook. Illinois has had some good moments, some good years. They've always been the 4th-5th team in the Big Ten, but I know exactly what you're talking about when they were the 1 seed a lot of times, and when they had Kansas coach as their guy for years as well too. So yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. But go ahead, Jeff. I'm sorry.
No, that D-bound Duran team, Williams, as you said, as well. But my point here is they lose their star. Their star is now suspended. I don't think he'll make it back, but they blew out Northwestern by 30. In comes Purdue, or I should say Illinois travels to Purdue. And you nailed everything I was going to say about Purdue. Embarrassed last year, the number 1 seed in the whole tournament, losing to Fairleigh Dickinson. And I brought up, and you have brought up, the fact that Virginia did the same thing, and they came all the way back. So I would buy stock right now in Purdue because I don't think they'll lose a game or two in the Big Ten this year, but you're not going to get much more value. So if you can get them to get to the Final Four at a good price, and then obviously the championship to cut the nets down at a good price, just put them in your portfolio and move on here. Ken Palm's got right now Purdue 82-74, so they got Purdue winning by 8. I haven't seen the opening line. My guess would be around 8 or 9 points. I think just business as usual. I love the Friday night spotlight here. I think Purdue wins the game. I don't know if they win by double digits. Illinois has been feisty. Good to get one win under your belt and a 30-point blowout, but I think they're in for a world of hurt. So I think Purdue gets it done, Pups.
Yep, and the way that Purdue has set their schedule up is just in a sense that says that this team is really tough because you look at who they beat this year, and they're all were top 15 teams. You know what I mean? Gonzaga, number 11 in the nation when they played. Tennessee, number 7 in the nation when they played. Marquette was number 4 in the nation when they played. And Arizona, your favorite, was number 1 in the nation when they played as well too. And now they're playing the number 9 team in the nation. So pretty much Purdue's building a good resume moving forward for the tournament as well too. So I really will probably circle them in as a number 1 seed, regardless of how they finish. They don't have to win the Big Ten for them to be a number 1 seed this year.
No, I agree. I agree 100%. I think they're locked. They're loaded. Listen, Wisconsin showing flashes. Ohio State is showing flashes. They play Saturday at Indiana. Big Tens we know about. Of course, Izzo's Armies in March. Yada yada yada. But the fact is, Purdue will win the Big Ten. Purdue will. I don't know if they win the Big Ten tournament, but Purdue will most likely be a 1. If for some reason they lose a couple, at worst the 2 seed. So.
And I'm gonna keep it real with you. Michigan State is a first weekend loser to me. I really don't see that team going further than the second round this year because they've lost their essence. They've lost their touch since all the scandals and things like that, and paying all this money out and things like that. Michigan State won't be the same school for the next decade, dude. Like seriously, because they're really, really in a bad situation right now with as many cases that they've had to settle over the last 3 or 4 years or so. But that's a different subject for a different day. Let's go ahead and jump into our next game of the week, and that's going to be the Big East game of the week. And I'm going to keep it real with you, Jeff, before we even start. Big East is the best conference in the nation. And somebody jumped on my one of my tweets. Oh, the ACC is good. No, it's not. Okay, the ACC is a good 16 conference. Okay. The ACC is never good if you don't have Duke and UNC as your best teams. It's that simple, okay? Because they are the standard when it comes to the ACC. The ACC bastardized itself by taking half of the Big East, but still, the ACC at the end of the day, when me and Jeff look at the ACC, we look at Carolina and Duke and the 6 little dwarfs. That's because it used to be an 8-team conference. And that's what they are. The Clemsons of the world, the Florida States of the world, the Georgia Techs of the world, the Wake Forest of the world. They all follow behind UNC. The newer teams are a little different. You know, Pittsburgh, Syracuse, they had their Big East rivalries. They're really not a part of the old ACC guard, okay? But when it comes to the Big East has rough, tough, skilled, everything that you need in a conference. Every team brings a different element to the show, but everybody got to be tough. Everybody got to be a little rugged. Everybody got to be ready to lose some teeth. And that's still the Big East motto to this day. And they probably are the conference that gets guys most prepared for the next level in the NBA, in my opinion. That's why the conference is so good. Because they play NBA-type basketball in the Big East. They don't play a college basketball game, or they play college basketball the way it's supposed to be played. A lot of teams live with the basics in the Big East, and that's all I want to say about the Big East. This Marquette team, I don't know. I think that they're good, but they got some flaws to them, and you can beat them. You know, I saw that in Maui with UCLA. UCLA had them beat dead to rights, but UCLA kept giving up open shots. They kept doing little things, and that's what makes Marquette good because they'll take advantage of the opportunities that you give them, and that's how they beat you. Shaka Smart is a really, really good regular season coach, but he's a better element of surprise coach. He's like Marquette's better as an underdog, in my opinion. Them as a favorite isn't good at any point. Because it reminds me of when, you know, you have a good 15-1 horse who could be a 7-2 or 5-2 or something like that. But you know what? He's in a tough race today, and you won't see him coming. And that's how you can really grade Marquette. But when they're really good, they can get you a little lazy when you bet them. Like, oh, they got this one. Seton Hall is coming fresh off of a tough win in Providence. They took my money because I thought Providence was going to win the game by double digits, and they wound up not even coming close to beating Seton Hall. Even though they lost by 4, Seton Hall controlled the game from the tip to the finish. And that's Big East basketball for you. You don't have to get beat by 20 for a team to really whoop you. You can get beat by 4 or 6. And they whooped you the whole game because you could never get past that 4 or 6 point threshold. And so that's just as bad as the blowout because you couldn't get past that threshold. And that's what happened to Providence the other night. And I feel like Seton Hall is telling themselves, you know what? We're 9-5, but we're still one of the tougher teams in this conference. So, you know, it's going to be tough going to Jersey Saturday and playing for Marquette, playing against Seton Hall, because Seton Hall has that look in their eyes that, hey, you know what? We can make a little run here, and we can be a team that's going to be a real nuisance in the tournament if we can continue the rapport that we have. So Saturday, I'm looking for the upset, Jeff, to be honest with you. I love Seton Hall in this game.
You know, I got a firsthand experience with Seton Hall in the Big East opener. They hosted UConn, and good first 10 minutes for UConn, had an early lead, and then Seton Hall dominated the last 30 minutes. One of the UConn star players gets hurt, hasn't been back since, by the way, and Seton Hall goes on to win that. If you watched the closing bell last night, my dog of the day, as you would like to say, was Seton Hall at Providence. And now Providence loses one of their stars for the season with an ACL injury. Looking at the Marquette resume, preseason Big East favorites, the Darlings, the Final Fours, Shaka's return, lookout potential NCAA champs. 3 losses, lost by 3 to Purdue. They lost by 11 to Wisconsin. And then, of course, they lost by 15 to Providence. They've beaten Georgetown and Creighton, which the Creighton game, they didn't play well either, only beat them by 5. Now take a look at the Hall, who again started the season slow, 9-5, losses to USC, to Iowa, Baylor, Rutgers, and Xavier. So looking at their 5 losses, USC, okay, Iowa, okay, Baylor shows flashes. I can't be losing to Rutgers this year, and then you cannot be losing to Xavier. But in conference play, beat UConn and now just Providence. Ken Palm has Marquette winning 75-70. It will be interesting to see what the opening number is. I think in my head, Marquette by about 3.5. It's a good spot for Marquette. The high of Seton Hall going to Providence, but in the back of my mind, I saw what I saw when Seton Hall played at home and beat UConn. So they're definitely a live dog. They'll be interested to see what the number is. Ken Palm 75-70. But it's a good spot for Marquette. So which Seton Hall team shows up on Saturday will tell the tale there, Pops.
And you know what? I just really like Seton Hall a little bit more, man. And Marquette is great, and they're good and all that stuff. But I just know how bettors think. It's going to be an early game. Say you're sitting in Vegas and you want to get your early game in and things like that. You run into the book. You're going to tell yourself, oh, Marquette should be the look. They're the best team in the conference. And I don't think they're the best team in the conference. And I don't see this team as a national title team either as well. I just see them as a really good team that can make it look good on TV. There's some teams that look great on TV, but that doesn't mean you're going to be the national champion at the end of the day. And that's what I see in Marquette. You're a shiny object, but when the going really gets tough, you guys aren't tough enough. And that's where you separate the men from the boys, Jeff, in my opinion, when it comes down to the Marquette-Seton Hall game and just Marquette moving forward as a team, period. You know, I just saw a lot of flaws when they played UCLA, and they're a very beatable team. And we move forward. So let's go ahead and jump into our ACC game of the week. And, you know, it's a classic ACC game. You know, UNC 10-3, back to business. You got Clemson, who's just coming fresh off of a loss last night to Miami, but you knew that was coming because nobody wins at Coral Gables, bro. I'm telling you right now, it's the toughest out in the conference pretty much when you go down to South Florida and go play. And Florida State, before they kind of shot themselves in the foot, they used to be a tough out too, going to Tallahassee. So, just dealing with the state of Florida with the ACC, when you got to go on that road game, it's going to be tough. And so Clemson, a team that only had lost one game going into conference play, now seems to be a team that that is good, but that they're very beatable. But UNC, on the other hand, they are a team that has a very bad taste in their mouth from last year. UNC literally did everything they could to not make the tournament last year. And we thought possibly they would sneak them in, but they didn't do the favor for them. And so pretty much now this team has had to restart themselves, but they have the veterans that can push them towards a Final Four, a national championship this year. North Carolina is back to business, as I would like to say, and they're going to be one of the more dangerous teams once we get to March. And these games are good measurement games for them moving forward. Now, when it comes down to this one right here, I feel like this is a great show and prove game for UNC. UNC got a great win the other night in Pitt, where it's really tough for UNC over the last few years to get some wins at, and they went right into their house and popped them right in the mouth, Jeff, the other night. So I feel like when you come down to this game right here, this is a good old ACC classic type of game, and I know Clemson's going to get a lot of love in this game because they're the home team. But I think UNC knows that this is a send a message game, and they're going to send a message on Saturday. I got UNC rolling in this one. What are your thoughts on this?
I'm looking at Clemson's resume right now. A loss to Memphis, where Penny's got the boys playing. Great team there. They lost 79-77. And then the loss to Miami. And it was a perfect spot for Miami. We gave out Miami last night on the closing bell. The fact is, road game, Clemson, and the fact that Clemson has this game on Saturday against North Carolina. I'm not saying they were peaking, but I'm saying they were peaking. 95-82 loss there. Right now, Ken Palm's got Clemson winning 80-79. I think Clemson might open up 1.5. I could see to pick them. I could see Carolina closing as a 1.5 point favorite. Their resume, an OT loss to Villanova. They lost to UConn by 11, and then they lost to Kentucky right after by 4. Bounced back with wins against Oklahoma, Charles Southern, and Pittsburgh. So really nothing there. Tough spot for, I think, North Carolina. We'll see what Clemson is really made out of here. They have to defend the home court coming off that loss. Again, big resume builder to start the year. You can't then go to Miami and lose and then come back home to lose to the North Carolina. So I am going to have this as a popcorn game. If you had to lean, I think Clemson defends and finds a way to win. If they're favored by 1.5, just take them on the money line. But I can see Saturday, especially if North Carolina is a short dog, as them being the public trendy dog on Saturday, Pops.
All right. I like it a lot, because I think that's going to be something that you can really go ahead and take to the bank with you, man, is that you're going to get a great game here. And I just really do truly feel that this one right here is going to wind up being one that's going to have people really, really glued to their seats, man, because ACC, it's always fun when you get these type of games between old rivals like this. You know what I mean? Because the ACC, like I just said, they've added so many teams that you don't recognize what that conference was. And this is what the conference used to be, and this is a very good game. And you know what? UNC is a team that I really am, banking on to be really good. I can see another Kansas UNC final as well, too. So there's a lot of things that look good. Now, and I'm just talking about Kansas. Now we're going to talk about the Big 12 game of the week. And TCU, the darlings of last year in the tournament, we can kind of say that they got a little lucky because the way that bracket worked was kind of an open bracket in a sense. Think about that, Jeff. You know what I mean? TCU was a good team all season, but were they really good enough to really make a move? No. That was because the way that bracket was set up, and once that bracket got kind of popped up a little, once that bracket got broken the first weekend, that's what made them look like world beaters. And then they got exposed at the Garden against FAU. You know what I mean? Because if you're really taking care of your business, FAU would have never beat you. And that's what I feel like they might be one of the more overrated teams. And I think that they're not going to be as good in the Big 12 this year as they were last year. But the Big 12 was a very, very different conference. It was weird last year. There was points where Kansas struggled. There was points where Baylor struggled. And then they came back. You know, Kansas State was a formidable team for a while there. Texas Tech even had moments. You know what I mean? So the Big 12 was all over the place, in my opinion, last year. And that's why TCU was able to be good in tournament, because they had a very parity type situation in their own conference. So this year it's different because they lost all those players that are very good towards who were very key towards getting them to the Elite Eight and everything like that. In Kansas, let's keep it real. This is the best team in the country when it comes down to the coaching and when it comes down to how their starting five is set up. But I still think that Dixon might be one of the more overrated players of the last decade as well, too. Because, you know, they made a lot of hype out of this kid because he went to Michigan. And what did he do at Michigan other than lose to UCLA in their biggest game? And he was not a factor that day. So, you know, we know this guy knows he's not going to be probably an NBA guy for a long time. So he's taking advantage of the college basketball landscape of today. Like many of these guys that, you know, are big men that know that possibly the NBA is not going to be good to them when they go to the next level. So Kansas is in a show improved game themselves. They're the number 2 team in the nation. They're going to be at home. TCU has been good at getting these upsets. This does have an upset feel to it, but in reality, I think that Kansas is going to make an absolute statement out of TCU because they know TCU is a dangerous team and they can't sit around and lollygag with them. They can't play hot potato with them. They got to go right at them, and they got to send the message that Kansas is really a powerhouse, not, you know, lackadaisical. We're gonna go through the motions and we're gonna coast, because that's been Kansas a lot of times in their early conference games, especially on Saturday morning games where, you know, it's a big time game, but at the end of the day, though, they wind up losing, and they know that they're gonna have to step it up. Jeff, what are your thoughts on Kansas this weekend, and do you feel like there's any type of threat in the Big 12 to Kansas this year to win another Big 12 championship? I think that might be the most boring champion of them all, Kansas in the Big 12 in basketball.
I mean, there'll be flashes. I mean, I've watched this Baylor team win by 40 and put up 100 and change, and I've seen them get waxed. Oklahoma is hot and cold. Texas Tech. I mean, they're all, again, not one of these stand out. I mean, I'm looking at the Kansas schedule now. One loss to Marquette, who we just talked about, by 14. They've already beaten Kentucky. They beat Tennessee by 9. Then they go on Eastern Illinois. Their tough game of the year was at home against UConn, and they beat them by 4. UMKC, Missouri, Indiana, Yale, Wichita State. I mean, their next 4: TCU, UCF, Oklahoma State. I don't see anything there. West Virginia. I will tell you this: the only game there'll be 2 games this year, Pops. Moving forward, let me see. 1, 2, 3. There's 3 games that they'll be underdogs. Okay, they're an underdog. I just had it. Bear with me. They're an underdog in Iowa State. They're an underdog against Houston. And they're at Oklahoma, 1-point underdogs. And then 3-point underdogs against Baylor. Last game at Houston. So there's some hiccups there. I like Houston. I've liked them for a couple of years now. I know your thoughts on Houston as well. But the fact of the matter is, Kansas should win the Big 12. Now, if you gave me a little nice price, I might take Houston. Give me Houston. You know, I didn't even mention Texas. So they got them 7-point favorites against TCU, 79-72. And when I pull up the TCU resume right now for everyone watching and listening, 2 losses, Clemson and Nevada. They really haven't played much as well. So I think Kansas wins. I think the number's short, though. I think Vegas is being cute. Ken Palm is being cute here as only a 7. I think Kansas will be probably 9.5 point favorites and tip off on Saturday. I like the Jayhawks. Just buyer beware, pups.
I got you. All right, we move forward. Do we have one more? Yes, we do. And that's going to be a good old ACC rivalry game right here. And we know that this game always this used to determine who the champion of the conference was going to be. It really is sad to see Florida not be one of the more dominant teams in the country, because I was used to Florida being always one of the top recruiting teams, and always being a team that's always hovering around the top 20, top 15. And it hasn't been like that for years for Florida, but Florida always looms the danger, especially in the Kentucky matchup, especially when they come to the Swamp. So this is going to be a good game for Kentucky to show us exactly who they are, because Kentucky's is back to where we're used to, where Kentucky is supposed to be. It's supposed to be about winning a national championship or bust this year. And Calipari, most don't know, probably has the most pressure on him that he's ever had at Kentucky. They're kind of tired of watching the same movie every year with this guy. But they've been really good this year. They've picked it up. They got a lot of good things going their way this year. So there's a lot of things that get you excited about Kentucky and about Kentucky being there at the end. But I feel like what's going to happen here is that Kentucky is going to be an ultimate overbet on Saturday. And that's where Florida plays its best basketball at, is when they're pretty much a for sure underdog. And I wouldn't put them as an underdog at the Swamp ever, because it's always a tough game when you go to the Swamp. Just playing in the state of Florida for a lot of these teams in conference play is always going to be tough. So I love the way that the Gators are coming into this game in Gainesville. I know it's going to be a toughie, but I know that they have the type of lineup and the type of group that can beat this team. So I'm going to go ahead and circle the Gators to get the upset here on Saturday. Jeff, what are your thoughts, and who do you have winning this game?
I'm looking at Ken Palm right now. Kentucky 10-2. Lost to Kansas, lost to UNC Wilmington 80-73. After that, beat Penn, Carolina, Louisville, Illinois State. In comes Florida, but Kentucky traveling to Florida as we speak. And always one of my favorite games to watch in the SEC here. Florida, 3 losses, second game of the year to Virginia by 3. They lost by 4 to Baylor and 11 to Wake Forest. Since that, beat Merrimack, Richmond, East Carolina, Michigan, and double OT, Grambling State, Quinnipiac. Ken Palm's got Kentucky winning 80-65. I think Kentucky will be a big public play, probably 2.5 point favorites. I love where your eyes are, Pops. I love the Gators here as a home dog. I'll be doing the chop all day Saturday. Definitely have my eyes on the Gators, not just covering, but with the upset win.
All right. So we got ourselves, that's going to wrap it up on the college basketball for this week. We're going to take a quick commercial break. Will we be able to talk a little Lakers, a little NBA?
I can come back and talk Lakers, and then I sent you that little DM. I got issues over here. I'll come back to talk Lakers, and then you can wrap it up on Talkin Tickets.
All right. Sounds good. You guys go ahead. We'll be right back. This is the Premier Sports Betting Show, the PrimeTime Angles, with the one and only Pop DiBiase, the PrimeTime Capper, and our special guest, Mr. Jeff Dawson, the Don of Cape Cod.
Good News Only Racing Club, led by the legendary Doug O'Neill, the trainer of 2 Kentucky Derby winners, and I'll have another in Nyquist. Also trained 2-time Breeders' Cup champ Golden Sense, who are just a part of a long list of thoroughbred champions trained by Doug O'Neill. The Good News Only Racing Club has a young core of horses to look out for in Dennis's Celery, Irish Heatwave, and Notre Dame, just to name a few. Win the day every day with the Good News Only Racing Club, a proud sponsor of the NFL Bet Exchange.
From the East and the West, you've heard others, but now you've tuned into the best. This is a Prime Wave Media production.
Tune into Big Wave Boxing every week with a brand new guest with the one and only Pop DiBiase, the Primetime Capper, getting the best boxing stories, best boxing angles, and the truth when it all comes down to the sweet science. Tune in to Big Wave Boxing on the Prime Wave Media channel on YouTube.
All right, we're back with the Premier Sports Betting Show, the Primetime Angles, with the one and only Pop DiBiase, the Primetime Capper, and our guest, the Don of Cape Cod, Mr. Jeff Dawson. So pretty much, let's go ahead and talk about it. The Lakers. You know what? I'm trying to get people to understand that the Lakers are not the best team when it comes to December and early January because they're always on a break. It's the holidays. They got a little comfortable. You know, you won the cup. You know, everybody kind of made a big deal about it, but then everybody kind of made fun of the Lakers about it as well, too. But then I keep saying, like, but if it was the Timberwolves, they would have had a parade. Come on, let's cut it out. Seriously. You know, let's not dig in on the Lakers, because if it would have been any of these other winless franchises that have never won anything but possibly just a division title, they would have had a Macy Day parade for that situation. But all in all, the Lakers, to me, they're just going through the motions of everything. It happens every year. It's because I'm going to keep it real with you. I'm not going to name names and things like that. But Rob Pelinka might be the most impatient general manager I've ever seen in my life. Because the thing is, when you have a good group, why do you keep breaking it up? The Lakers wound up getting a good group that got them into the playoffs last year. And then they lose about 40% of that group, and they needed to keep that group. I don't know how Gabe Vincent wound up being an upgrade over Dennis Schroeder, a guy that was key to getting you to the Western Conference Finals last year, as is, who loves being in LA and who's willing to accept whatever you offered him so he could stay in LA. That's just what I don't get. Malik Beasley was a guy I felt that you could have gave a little bit more time to. You didn't have to pay him a big salary or anything, but he was somebody that was kind of key to the trades that you had last year. I much would have rather kept a Malik Beasley over a Jared Vanderbilt, who was very offensively inept. I just couldn't believe how bad this guy was on offense last night. He gets some of the best looks on the Lakers and he'll pass it off, or he won't take a layup, or he won't dunk, or he'll take an ill-advised three. It's just absolutely stupid to watch. And I'm like, how is this guy still on the team? How is this guy even getting playing time right now? I know he can play some good defense, but at the end of the day, you need to be able to do both. And if you can't, you can't. And then Hood Schifino. It was kind of embarrassing last night, Jeff, to where you got Jaime Jaquez, a kid from UCLA, Camarillo, California. He's a Laker kid. He grew up watching Kobe and everybody and trying to be these people. And you don't draft, and you could have drafted him, but you took a freshman with a lot of potential from Indiana. But you didn't want to take a kid that was a seasoned player from UCLA that can make a key contribution to your team immediately. And you see what he's doing in Miami. The guy's almost getting 20 points a game. And the Lakers would need a player just like that. But I know that would confuse him and Austin Reeves because they're the same type of player. But I would say Jaime's better because he plays defense. That's the thing. And see, that's bad drafting right there. And I say this because Schifino Hood had opportunities to score buckets, and he looked like the little kids that I used to put on my team when I was coaching middle schoolers. He looked like one of the sixth graders when he finally got his opportunity to get in the game, and he's blowing layups, wide open layups, and he's getting the ball tossed out the way. It just was bad to watch. The kid Christie's doing all right. He's good. And I would like to see more Christian Wood, man. He's one guy who's really trying his best to stay on the court, playing good defense. He got a good jump shot. He does post up, and he seems like a good valet for AD. But at the end of the day, AD and LeBron are doing a lot of playing, and everybody else is doing a lot of spectating. And it's really, really, really bad basketball at the end of the day. And now we have the locker room starting to get disconnected with Darvin Ham. No, the locker room's not getting disconnected with Darvin Ham. You know who's getting disconnected with Darvin Ham? Number 23, as usual. The guy walked out 30 seconds before the game was over last night. He was hightailing it to the locker room last night. I've never seen LeBron really do that before, where he just, I'm out of here. Bye. Act like he had to be home by 11. So, you know, who's really causing the controversy here? The biggest problem has always been with LeBron since he got here is that he doesn't let the coach. He always has to override what the coach is talking about, or he has to put his 2 cents into something. We understand how great you are. We understand that you're smart and you understand things. But one thing Kobe did and one thing MJ did, they let coaches coach. And if they had an issue with the way the coach was coaching, they could go talk to the GM about it. But Jordan never had an issue with the way Phil Jackson coached. He let Phil Jackson coach. Kobe Bryant never had an issue with the way Phil Jackson coached because he let him coach. But there were other coaches that they had that they let coach as well too. But the GM caught the issues with those coaches. Only time I could say Kobe really made a coach look bad was Mike Brown, but that was more than deserving because Mike Brown was terrible when he was the Lakers coach. So, you know, at the end of the day, Jeannie Buss and her brothers are going to have to really figure out, do they need LeBron or do we need to move on and be the Lakers again? That's the biggest thing. I really do feel like the Lakers are being held hostage by LeBron James. And I hate to say that about a guy I respect immensely in this game. But at the end of the day, it ain't never been a good fit. It's just that simple. It's been a good fit for his career and for what he wants to do in life, but it ain't never been a good fit basketball-wise, in my opinion. He interrupted what the Lakers were doing as a team to build for the next 10 years. He wanted to do something short-term with us, and now it's turned into something long-term that's back to being to the mediocrity is very close to the mediocrity the Lakers had in the final Kobe years, where you keep shaving, you keep shifting around the roster, and you're not getting anything done. You're not getting championships. You're not doing any of that. You're just bringing in a lot of guys, and you're just taking out a lot of guys, and you just have 2 core players. That's not how the Lakers operate, Jeff. It's just not. It's just not. And, you know, LeBron James, you're not a great GM. You're not a great coach. You're a great player. Be a player. That's what the biggest thing is right now with the Lakers. And they got to have guys play their role. You got to do what you're paid for. They didn't pay you to coach the team. They didn't pay you to be the general manager. They paid you to be the best player in basketball on the court. So you got to get yourself out of that situation. You can't override what the coach is trying to do. That's what the problem is. You got to stop that. And this is why LeBron easily could have had 15 championships, but he's uncoachable. Let's just keep it real. He's uncoachable. He might be the most unselfish, this, that, but he's another uncoachable. And when you're uncoachable, many don't like you at the end of the day. And this is why LeBron has a bad rap, to be honest with you. But the Lakers, they'll get it together. They'll bounce back. They'll put everything together that they need to. But they're going to have to look at the man in the mirror and tell themselves, we're the Lakers. Players don't run us. We run players. Remember that. We were able to have Magic Johnson go down the road. We was able to have Kobe go down the road. And these guys were grateful. They loved the Lakers. But this Laker LeBron thing is going to end messy. And I can see it from a mile away. Your thoughts?
I'm waiting for the first basket to go. That was a great sermon. I spoken from the heart in regards to what is going on in the Lakers. I'm going to give you my perspective outside looking in from the Celtics in regards to we have 2 young cores, two young key core to the team. We have Tatum and we have Brown. Brown with his supermax and Tatum to get his this summer. We ripped the Band-Aid off with Smart. We bring in Drew Holiday. We bring in Porzingis. We added Derek White last year. We're still a piece away. Okay, the East is made up of the Celtics, the Bucks, and the Sixers, and then you have the playoff Heat, and let's say the Cavaliers. Who else? From an outsider looking at the West, Pops, I watched a couple days ago that OKC Thunder team. They're young. They're healthy. They can play both ways. They're good. You and I both know Minnesota's good with Cat, with Ant. We can say what we want about the Pelicans with Zion. They were in the same spot last year. Best record in the NBA last year to start the new year. And then Zion got hurt and the rest is history. Will Denver be able to flip the switch this year? No, they got their title. They ain't winning this year. Look at the Suns. They got one of the greatest players of all time, KD. Oh, okay. What else? Well, they got Booker. Okay, what else? They got a guy called Bradley Beal. They can't get on the court. Then go to Dallas. They got one of the young stars with Luka. And then they got Kyrie, who we know Kyrie, especially come playoffs. So my point is, then you look at the Lakers. You got a LeBron. You got an AD. The future is not bright, Pops. You and I know what you need to do, and it won't happen. And I'm not trying to be that guy. You need to trade LeBron. Do you want to go back to Miami? Do you want to go to Cleveland? Get him out. Get him back to the East. Your future is not AD either. Peanut brittle, especially when LeBron's not there. Find a landed spot. Get as many young players that LeBron traded away. That's what you need to do, because you got to look at the landscape of the youth that is out in the West. It's scary. Ja comes back looking like Ja again. Now, we know he's one mess up away from being thrown out of the league or banned for a year. I feel for you. I feel for Laker Nation. You know, it was all about LeBron. LeBron's the coach. LeBron's the GM. Okay, LeBron got you one title. Okay?
Right.
And that's the last title. You ain't winning another title with LeBron, and AD's not your future. So I don't know what to say at this point, because I'll put the Pelicans, I'll put the Timberwolves, I'll put the Thunder, those to start. And then you got the aging team. So I don't know what to say at that point. I feel for you. As Chaka Khan said, I feel for you. I really do, because I don't know what you can do at this point, Pops.
Well, you know, hey, and this is what really what irritates me. We didn't bring LeBron to be the coach. We didn't bring him to be the general manager. This was supposed to be smooth for you. You didn't have to do the Cleveland stuff. And in Miami, they didn't need to do anything in Miami, because Pat Riley's a 40-year veteran when it comes to making deals in the NBA. So at the end of the day, man, you have really made it to where you do too damn much. You know what I mean? There's always there can be a great company, a great business, and you always got somebody who does too damn much. And when they do too damn much, that business can implode and fall apart. And the Lakers are at that point right now where everything is about to fall apart. And LeBron is going to be scapegoated. It's going to be the Lakers' fault. It's going to be all this, that, and the third. But we all know who it really is at the end of the day. We know who it is at the end of the day. And we know that he decided to go with the Lakers because he knew that they had a little bit of a softer touch. Because if he would have went to the Clippers with all this, the Clippers would have wrapped this up like a year ago. Seriously. In this situation, they would have saw, okay, we can get assets for LeBron in one of these summer situations. And they would have made the move, because the Clippers have moved off of superstars my whole life. They don't care. They don't mind. You know what I mean? And that's one team I'm going to give some props to. And it's ugly that I'm even saying that, because I bagged on the Clippers my whole life. But right now, the Clippers have the look. That's the favorite in the West. I don't care what anybody says, because you got Harden. you got Leonard, you got George, and you got Russ, and they all are in sync with each other. That's the thing. They don't have any beef going on over here. They know how to talk to each other as a team. But at the end of the day, they let Tyronn Lue do his job. That's the difference. They let him coach them. That's the thing. I feel bad for Darvin Ham because I know what he wants to do. But then it's always LeBron had to be, let's go do this. You see it on the sideline every game. He'll say one thing. He'll drop a play. And then LeBron goes and draws up his own play. That doesn't work. And then Jeannie Buss is so busy with Bob Sugar that she ain't worried about the team no more. And she cried and made big deals to the group and all this shit to get the team to let her be the owner, even though her father decided to let her brother run the team. You got to go with what Dad said. Your pops knew what he was doing because he had set them up to be the owners of the Lakers when you look at the little documentaries that they had. And now things are a mess because you had to come back because you want to make sure that you are a female owner and they see that. They know you're a part of the ownership group. You don't need to do all this. And now you want to move on and have a regular life outside of being a basketball owner. And so now you've lost track of your team. LeBron should not be responsible for your team. Now they're talking about, hey, they're going to draft Bronny to be on the team. Why would I draft it? Why would we be drafting a kid who has a heart ailment? Bronny should be worried about his education right now because it might not be no NBA for you, kid, because I don't see much on the college court with him. It's a tough game, and you can see it. So, there's a lot of things that go into it, but all in all, when we get down to the basketball part of things, if the Lakers can buy in to the mentality that it's all about us and not just about LeBron and AD, they should be back in good shape. But at this point right now, they got to do a lot of soul searching. Is really not that hard to see. Now, your team looking pretty good on the other hand. We just got to get your boy Jason Tatum together, man, because dude stays blowing the big games, man. He's like kind of, I don't know, man. I don't know if you guys give him the max, dude. I think that this should be a show and prove year for Jason Tatum, and you guys figure out a way. If you don't win a championship this year, I think he needs to be the odd man out, to be honest with you, because you can get so many assets for Jason Tatum right now.
Unfortunately, it's Jason's team, and we gave Jaylen Brown the Supermax because we had to, and would be the odd man out. Jason, I'm not saying Jason is LeBron, but Jason calls the shots. And Jaylen Brown's that one that is not as well liked. And it's a short window. I mean, listen, it's championship or bust. It's not Eastern Conference Finals. It's not get to the championship. It's championship or bust. And I know everyone is saying they'll go as far as Porzingis' health. I'll take it a step further. They need Derek White, who's playing right now. They need this Derek White. I'm more concerned of Derek White in the playoffs. Once you get to the playoffs, first, second round, championship rounds, you got over 100 games in these legs, and even with load management. So it'll be interesting. I just think, listen, you know me, I'm not a huge Tatum fan. I tweeted out to Cerrone from 98.5 this morning. He was talking about today's game, and I said, hey, listen, I'm an East-West guy. I'm a Larry Magic guy. I grew up in the 80s and 90s. Larry Magic and MJ. I was like, I can't watch today's game. It's a 3-point shooting contest or an ISO. One pass, dribble, run the shot clock down, take the three, or drive to the lane. And me and you, I didn't grow up that way. I'm trying. I asked him for suggestions. Help me to enjoy this NBA. I mean, I enjoyed the OKC Celtic game the other night, but I like youth. I like talent, but I like to watch it my way, not this way. That's all.
I got you. All right, let's real quick. Let's talk about tonight's NBA games real fast. NBA Thursday night. It's a TNT night. We only got 2 games tonight, so they're going to be the spotlight games, national games tonight. And up first, we got the Spurs and the Bucks, and and I know you really like Wemby and everything like that, but come on, man. You know that guy's IQ is lower than a third grader's when it comes to the NBA, man. He's just really, but he's really long and really gifted. He's better than Sean Bradley, but losing 18 games in a row, I don't know, man, but he'll get it, I guess. You know what I mean? I don't know, Jeff, but at the end of the day, it's a real learning curve for him. But the Bucks are in sync now. Lillard has figured out what his role is going to be. He pretty much said to himself, you know what? Some nights I'm going to score. Some nights I'm going to be a distributor. But regardless of anything, let's just go win the damn game. That's what the Bucks mentality is right now. You got to respect that mentality right now. And when you look at it, you know that the Bucks, we only got 6 really, really good teams in the NBA, and I think 4 of them play in the Eastern Conference right now. And I would say that's the Bucks, that's the 76ers, and that's going to be your Celtics as well too. And you know what? I'll even go in there and throw in the Heat, just because when they got Jimmy Butler, we know what they can do and we know what they're capable of doing as well too. So I truly do feel like the Bucks aren't going to have any issues tonight. This is a great showcase game for the Bucks. This is more about, them being in awe of what Wemby can do. But that doesn't mean that this is going to conduce them to a win, because Wemby can go out there and score 30, get 15 rebounds, and these guys still lose by 45 points, because the other guys just don't buy into playing defense, and they don't buy into playing hard basketball either. And it's really sad to see with the great coach like Greg Popovich. But I'm going to be dead honest with you, Jeff. I think this is Pop's last season anyway. So it's like school's out right now for Pop. Like, hey, do what you want, guys. I don't care, because I ain't going to be here next year. So I'm taking the Bucks with the -9 here, and I'm moving forward. I don't have much to say about this game. Your thoughts, and where are you putting your money to, if you're going to be putting any money on this?
Bucks last night played Indiana, third or fourth time now this year. Another high scoring affair between those two. The Bucks stops here back to back. San Antonio, they should be able to decide how many points they want to win by. I looked at the under over at 249.5. It's gone down to 248.5 in DraftKings. If I had to put any stake in this game, I would take this over on the Bucks side. I would also look at their team total to go over as well tonight, Pops.
All right, cool. Let's go ahead and move forward to our next game, which is going to be a better game. Nuggets 24-11. Warriors, everybody talking about the Lakers struggling, but the Warriors struggle is even worse. You know what I mean? Because they're fresh off of championships. They're fresh off of this, that, and the third. And you know what? I'm going to keep it real with you. I think the NBA did a little bit too much with Draymond Green. You know what I mean? Yeah, I know the guy punched the guy and it spin around and things like that, but come on, you're suspending the guy for like almost 3 months or 2 or 3 months. It could have been a 10-game situation and you come on back, man, because it's not as pressed as they want it to be in the NBA. I'm sorry. You know what I mean? Like, at the end of the day, it's just basketball. And sometimes little awkward things like that happen. I'm not trying to defend Draymond or anything like that, but it's just that after a while, it's like the NBA kind of punished the Warriors on purpose. And the Warriors are just falling apart as a franchise in general, because I don't think that they really are feeling Steve Kerr anymore, to be honest with you. Nobody's saying this, but, if I was on their team, I wouldn't care for Steve Kerr anymore, because Steve Kerr complains every single game. Oh, it's the defense. Oh, it's this. Oh, it sounds like a nightclub in the game. Blah, 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 blah. None of this was a problem when you guys were winning games and doing the same exact thing in Oakland, was it? Okay. And you're the reason why the NBA is like this today, because you told guys just to go shoot. Shooters shoot. Blah, 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 blah. Now we have a toxic situation with the league to where people don't even know how the hell to play the game. And it starts with the Warriors. The Warriors were the ones that championed this type of style of basketball. And I told you years ago, Jeff, this ain't going to last. This won't work. This won't help. Everybody needs to have their own style of play. That's what made the 90s great. Everybody had their own style of play, even the bad teams. Everybody had their own style. It wasn't copycat league. It was whatever it does to work to win the damn game. That's it. And we've gotten away from that mentality for everybody to shoot threes. And who do you blame for that? The Warriors. They're the ones that came up with that mentality because the Suns did it before them. Steve Nash's boys, they were doing it before them and it didn't work. But the Warriors made it work because they had defensive guys a part of that situation. Festive Vasily, who never gets much props, but he single-handedly helped anchor that first championship as their center. Think about that part. David Lee was a key significant signing with Andrew Iguodala that made this thing go. It didn't start with Curry and Clay and all that stuff. It started with a great free agent class that they had going into the season. They won the championship and a good draft and being prepared by none other than Mark Jackson. And the rift and all that stuff has started since the Mark Jackson days. It's just winning just always hid what the real issues were with the Warriors. And at the end of the day, the Warriors are just pretty much getting their karma. That's what it is right now. And tonight in this game, after I've dogged them out, I'll go ahead and say this. They go ahead and win a close game tonight against the Nuggets. How about that? I'm going to take the plus 135 on the Warriors to get this win tonight against the Nuggets team that kind of is slow dragging on the road, in my opinion. Your thoughts, Jeff?
No, and when I was breaking down the West, I didn't bring up the Clippers for a reason. Again, on paper, they're probably the team to beat. You know, the youth that I talked about, whether it was OKC, Minnesota, or the Pelicans, versus the age and veteran teams, or Denver. You know, it's kind of like in cruise control, not looking like that championship team there. But yes, the Clippers are the team. And I didn't dog the Golden State because I don't think they're going to make the playoffs. I mean, Clay has struggled so bad. Draymond is out till God knows when, whatever his deal is. You talked about Kerr, Steph ruining the game. That's another team that needs a reset. If you're going to build around Steph, you move on from Clay, you move on from Draymond. You know, they moved on from Poole. Whatever it is, it's a toxic situation. And tonight, I am with you with that toxic situation. I don't like them at home as favorites. I'll take them as dogs at home. Right now, I had a number that opened at 3 that's as high as 3.5 with the 235.5. I think Golden State gets it done, and I too think this game also goes over the 235 bumps.
All right. And I like the over here as well, too. So with that, Jeff, great show, great segments. You gave me a little bit more of your time than you could. Hopefully the puppy hasn't absolutely gone ballistic on your leg right now. So it's all good. Jeff got to go out and entertain the dog real quick. It's cool because you know what I got for you guys? I got Talkin Tickets. So you guys stay tuned. Stay right where you at. I'm about to take a commercial break. Jeff, go ahead and give them all your contacts and where to find you at.
You can find me on the Twitter or X at EC Sports Invest. You can find our website at www.eastcoastsportsinvestors.com. I co-host Tuesday nights with Anthony Pepe on Sports Map Radio, so you can follow us live stream or download the app at Sports Map Radio. And obviously, me and Pops, Tuesdays, Thursdays, we're working out the 2024 kinks. We'll be together at least once, if not twice a week as well, talking tickets, talking college hoops. He talked about that historic year in 2017 where here at East Coast Sports Investors, a magical conference championship and March Madness run of 30-2. Hope to duplicate that in 2024 as we've started our 9th year of public service like Pops. So Pops, always a blessing. Enjoy the weekends. We will catch up first thing next week.
Sounds good. All right. Well, you're going to take this commercial break. You guys stay right where you at. Don't go nowhere. And we got Talkin Tickets, your favorite subject, my favorite subject. And let's go ahead and get the money down. But y'all stay tuned. I'll be right back to you.
Now you and your friends can compete in the sport of kings and win big with Stable Duel. Get the app, pick your horses, and get in on the thrill of horse racing with daily games competing against other players. Bring home the glory and the cash. and move up the annual leaderboard while you leave your competition in the dust. Get in the game with Stable Duel. Play, race, win.
Good News Only Racing Club, led by the legendary Doug O'Neill, the trainer of 2 Kentucky Derby winners and I'll Have Another and Nyquist. Also trained 2-time Breeders' Cup champ Golden Sense, who are just a part of a long list of thoroughbred champions trained by Doug O'Neill. The Good News Only Racing Club has a young core of horses to look out for in Dennis's Celery, Irish Heatwave, and Notre Dame, just to name a few. Win the day every day with the Good News Only Racing Club, a proud sponsor of the NFL Bet Exchange.
All right, here we are. Let's go ahead and jump into Talking Tickets. So pretty much up first, we got the CBB PrimeTime PK6. This is going to be a ticket that's 55-1. I'm going to go with Temple plus 5.5 to kick us off. Then I'm going to take Stony Brook today with the plus 6. Then we have Merrimack with the -7 today as well. Then we also have UCSB, which is Santa Barbara, with the -4.5. That might have jumped up to a bigger number since last night. I did put this ticket in last night. And then we have Northern Kentucky money line -115, and then we finish up with Cal Baptist plus 115, and this is going to be a 55-1 ticket right here. Let's see how it goes. Let's see how it shakes out. We move forward to the CBB DogDay PK4, which is going to be 106-1. We have Austin P plus 130. We have Minnesota plus 230. We have Georgia State money line plus 125, and then we wrap it up with the big dog, the big enchilada today in the Pac-12. Oregon State with the plus 500. And I got to do it, man, because Washington State looks like a very vulnerable favorite tonight. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it shakes out. But there goes our CBB DogDay PK4 ticket. Now we move on to our NBA tickets. The Bucks Spurs bets for tonight are going to be -9 to the Bucks tonight. The over 121 first half. The plus 2.5 first quarter for the Spurs. And then we wrap it up with the 11.5 with the Bucks. I think that the Bucks win this game by 15 or better. That's why I'm putting that bet up there with the plus 130 today. Then we wrap it up with the Nuggets and Warriors bets. I'm going to take the Warriors with the plus 135 money line to win the game. I like the Warriors with the plus 2 at the half as well. Then we're going to play the over 60 in the first quarter. And then I got the Nuggets going under 119.5 team total -115. So there it is with the Talking Tickets for today. So you guys see we got a whole big group of bets, and then like I said before, I got all 12 conferences out for the conference bets list today as well too. So you guys have that on your on my page as well too. So you have that in your in your possession as well. So there's a lot of plays, there's a lot of tickets, there's a lot going on today, and you know what? I'm just trying to get you guys that money. And if you are interested in being an exclusive client with the Primetime Sports Investors, you guys can DM me on the Twitter at PopDiBiase, or you guys can hit me up on IG at PTSI, which is our business page, and I can talk to you there as well too. Or you can email me at my email being primewavemedia@yahoo.com. So you guys make sure, if you are very interested in being an exclusive client, you hit me up in those 3 different contacts right there, and we'll go ahead and get you situated. I got one flat fee for the year of 2024, but I am open to payments as well too. So you guys go ahead and give me a jingle, give me a tweet, give me whatever you need to do if you want to move forward in that regard. But once again, thank you for your time today. And as usual, as I always say, bet with your head, not with your heart. The movement is moving. And I'll be back to you guys on Monday. Tomorrow is going to be an off day. I'm going to be at the track trying to go ahead and enjoy the ambiance of the great race place and have a little bit of fun. I'll have some content out for you guys. But next week, we'll be having multiple shows. We'll be having the PrimeTime Angles. I'm also going to have an episode of Sweet Science for you guys as well, too. So make sure you're tuning in for all this stuff. You're retweeting, sharing, whatever you got to do. But with that, that's going to be a wrap on today's show. And so pretty much, as I love is pretty much, this is the premier sports betting show, the PrimeTime Angles, with the one and only Pop DiBiase, the Primetime Capper, and I am gone.
From the East and the West, you've heard others, but now you've tuned into the best. This is a Prime Wave Media production.